Hello, all my lovely subscribers and viewers. My name is Sarah, and I'm very excited to show you how to crochet these popping mushrooms. So these little guys are super fast to make. They are super cute. They're market friendly, so you can make a whole bunch of them and hopefully sell well at markets. They're very interactable, which is probably my favorite part. I mean, I can just imagine so many kids picking this up and being so excited. So let's just jump right back into it, and I'm going to walk you through how to crochet these popping mushrooms. Okay, so for these mushrooms, you're going to need some yarn and a hook that goes with your yarn. You can do this in a size 4 yarn, which is this right here, and this guy's double-stranded size 4 yarn. And for today's tutorial, I will be working in these colors with this plushy yarn. I'll put the details on the screen because I don't quite remember the exact brand name, or I believe they're a size 6, but I will put it up on the screen so you can see it. I'm using 2 different colors. This will be the cap color, and then this will be the head color. So the coolest part about this pattern is you don't need to color change. You can make it all one solid color if that's what you'd prefer. For the sake of this tutorial, I will be doing it in 2 colors so I can show you how I color change. So I'm using size 6 bulky yarn with a 5mm hook. My tension's pretty loose, so if you have a really tight tension, this hook might be a little too small for this size yarn. And then you'll also need scissors and a couple sewing needles, and a stitch marker will be helpful, especially if this is the first time crocheting a popping mushroom. You'll need some safety eyes. I'm not quite sure if these ones will be big enough for the yarn I'm working with, so I might switch these out later. And I'll put what size I end up actually using on the screen so that you have something to base this off of. So the last thing you're going to need is some stuffing, and the amount of stuffing you need will vary depending on what size yarn you're using. So for these guys, I only needed the tiniest amount to fill the head portion, but for this guy I needed a little bit more because he's a bit bigger. So just some stuffing, and if you don't have stuffing, you could use some yarn scraps. Those will all work as well. So let's just get into this. With your cap color, we are going to start with a magic ring, or you can use the chain 2 method. I use the chain 2 method. So you begin with a slip knot and chain 2. Depending on the yarn you use, you might struggle closing your magic ring, so just keep that in mind. Now we're going to crochet 6 single crochets into your magic ring, or the first chain of your chain 2 method. There we are. Now you can attempt to close your hole. I find that sometimes I need to do the second round before I can close the magic ring up, so that's what I'll do real quick. So to mark your round, you mark the last stitch of every round that you do for the rest of the pattern. So for round 2, we're going to increase in each stitch around, and you'll have a total of 12 stitches. If you can hear my hook squeaking, it's because it's a brand new crochet hook. I haven't used this hook more than once, so that's why. When you come back around, see if you can close your magic ring up if you're using the plushy yarn. Let's see, yep. I find that the plushy yarn can be very difficult depending on, honestly, the color. I know it seems a little weird, but I've had some plushy yarns just close immediately, and I've had others that are just completely against it. That's closed enough. So for round 3, reset your stitch marker, and for round 3 we're going to increase and then single crochet, and we're going to do that 6 times for a total of 18 stitches. Alright, once you've arrived back around, we're going to move on to round 4, where we will increase and then single crochet 2. And we'll do that 6 times all the way around for a total of 24 stitches. Okay, that is the end of round 4. I'm going to attempt to close my ring one more time. May or may not get away with it. Nope. If I pull it any harder, I'm certain I'll snap it. So I'll just leave it like that, no big deal. So now we are going to spend the next 4 rounds just single crocheting all the way around. And this is going to form both the outside of the mushroom cap and the inside, like so. Okay, that was 1 round, and now 3 more. Alright, so once you finish single crocheting all the way around, we will do our color change. If you are not color changing, just ignore the next couple of steps and keep crocheting when we begin the next round. So you will be slip stitching and fastening off, and just cutting a very short tail. And before we color change, begin our next round, I'm going to secure the magic ring or your chain 2, and excuse me, I secure all the ends on my dolls because over time this part will wear out, and by knotting it on the inside you're just giving it a little bit more longevity. You can skip this step if you're not worried about something like that, but that's what I'm gonna do. Just like that. Not too difficult. And you can just tuck both these ends in. So I will be right back. Okay, so I just went and made sure I was doing the pattern correctly. That's where I went. And I am, don't worry. I'm not steering in the wrong direction. So the next step is to join our new color on. So make a slip knot onto your hook with a very short tail, and where we slip stitched off we are going to decrease. So we'll insert into the top of the slip stitch and then the top of the next stitch and decrease. Now that's how I do the invisible decrease. If you can't do the invisible decrease for whatever reason, you can just do a regular decrease in place of that. So all the way around we're going to decrease and then single crochet 2. Okay, so once you've come back around, we will just be decreasing. We won't be slip stitching or chaining one or anything. We'll just be crocheting directly on top of the other stitch. So do a decrease and then single crochet and repeat that all the way around. Okay, once you come all the way around, we'll do the next round, which will be decreasing 6 times in a row. This is forming the mushroom cap. As you can see, if you fold it in, we will not be stuffing the cap at all. So do not stuff it, do not put anything in there except for your tails that you might already have in there. Otherwise, leave it as empty as you possibly can. So continuing with the next round, decrease 6 times. At this point, you shouldn't be able to really get your finger in the hole unless you're using a big plushy yarn like I am. And that's kind of a good thing because you won't be putting anything in this portion. For the next 2 rounds, we will be single crocheting 6. Okay, so this is what it should look like right now, kind of like a balloon almost. And for the next round, you can place your stitch marker back in if you haven't already. And what we'll do is we'll increase 6 times. Okay, reset your stitch marker. Well, I gotta go find mine, give me a second. Here we are. Okay, so for the next 2 rounds, we will be single crocheting 12, and we're forming the head at this point. Okay, so that was the end of those 2 single crochet rounds, and we actually only have 1 round left on this mushroom pattern. As you can see, it is looking especially adorable. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to insert our safety eyes, and depending on what yarn you're using, you'll have to do a bit of experimentation to figure out which size works best. For the size 4 yarn, I actually used 4mm eyes, and then I'm not entirely certain, these might be an 8, or yeah, these are an 8, and these ones I believe are a 10, so you'll have to just do a little bit of experimenting to figure out which one works best. And then you're going to insert them. Depending on the size yarn you use, you'll either do 2 stitches apart or 3. These guys are smaller. I ended up doing 3, 1, 2, 3, and then for the bigger ones I actually do 2 stitches apart. And you just do it in between the 2 single crochet rounds, like so. So the next round we're going to do about half of it and then stuff and then finish. So for 3 stitches, decrease. Just decrease 6 stitches together total. That might have made it more confusing than it is. Decrease 3 times. And then you're going to start stuffing. And you're not going to stuff the neck area or the cap. You're just going to be stuffing this round part, the head portion. So what I like to do is pinch the neck with my fingers and then stuff in. And then this area will stay unstuffed, and then this will be stuffed. The bigger yarn you use, the easier it will be to stuff the head. But I mean, it's doable even with smaller yarn. So finish the round by decreasing 3 times. And if you need to put any more stuffing in there, you can. Mine feels pretty full, so you'll also be tucking the end into here, so don't stuff it too much or it'll get real hard. So for the next stitch, you're going to slip stitch, chain 1, and fasten off. You'll need a somewhat short tail. You'll just need it to close the hole, and then you'll be tucking it in. So more like a medium length tail. So now we're going to close up this hole, and I'll show you how to do that. Thread your needle, and you're going to be collecting all of the front loops of the next 6 stitches. Okay, now you're going to pull this tight to close it. Depending on your yarn, you don't want to pull too tight because you don't want to snap the yarn, because that would be really, really disappointing. So what I'd like to do is go under a couple more stitches just to complete that circle. Just like that. And then I'm going to knot this by inserting it into another stitch and going under the arch and pulling it somewhat tight. Just like that. And now what I'll do is I'll insert right into the center of that and out to the other side of the head. Pull your yarn through, pull it, and then adjust it until it's round. And now tuck in the end a few times. Whoa. Once you're done, just cut the tail. Make sure that the end goes in all the way so it's not poking out or anything. And then you're working with plushy yarn, you'll have to get all the fuzzies off. Okay, so that's it. That's all you need to do for this guy. And then you can push him in, you can pop him out. I actually think that this one is even cuter than the velvet ones I've done, so I highly recommend the plushy yarn. Pop, pop. Yep, it works. You always have to make sure you give it the pop test. So, like I said, these guys are super fun to make for markets. They're super interactable. They're even better when you make them bigger. You can sell them for more. Just saying. They work up really quickly. And you can make them in a bunch of different colors. You can do them in solid colors, anything you'd like. So if you'd like to use my free written pattern, you can head over to my Instagram where I'll have it linked in the description. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for crocheting these little guys. And I hope that you have lots of fun. I would appreciate being tagged in anything that you crochet with this pattern. You can sell your physical products, you know, no biggie. And yeah, I hope you have a great, wonderful day and enjoy your popping mushrooms. And I'll see you in the next tutorial or video. Bye!